As we'll start off our season awards for the year, and it starts with the Bettors MVP, the most prestigious award that we've got here, and we've got a host of nominees. Seth, I feel like the place to start here, we both had him nominated. We're starting the Xfinity Series with Connor Zilisch, 10 wins over there, hit our generational future. Zilisch has to be the front runner for our Bettors MVP this year.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say about the kid? I mean, I think we went to a point where, you said 17 straight races or something with a top 5. I mean, this guy was just on a heater. He was just on a heater all season long. And if you're betting the outrights, if you're betting placement props, it became a point where it was tough to bet him towards the end of that run just because it was so much juice. But Connor Zilisch, he came through for us multiple times. And, aside if you were betting him for Cup Series, like that was the only time I think you got in any trouble betting Zilisch. So he definitely, I feel like, deserves to be the front runner for the Bettors MVP. We'll, of course, we're going to put some polls out on YouTube. We'll put some polls out on Twitter. We want to hear from you guys as well before we crown these award champions. But these are our nominees, so we want to hear from you guys. But Connor Zilisch firmly in that 101 spot in my mind for the Bettors MVP.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Great season for the 88 in the Xfinity side, and a great season for the 88 on the Cup side as well. Shane Van Gisbergen, from the overs on his and Trackhouse's win total that I hit, he really became an automatic road course bet, even at odds that I never thought that I would bet on an outright, Rod. We were still making money on SVG as the road courses went on this year.
If F1 taught us anything, it's that if the favorite is the favorite, sometimes the favorite is the favorite, and you just have to drink as much juice as you could possibly fill in a glass because it's just the outcome that's going to happen. And, for Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen all season long, that was kind of it. I mean, road courses, the books knew, we knew, everybody knew. So you had to try to find the value in where you could maybe finagle a better number, a parlay that could boost this number up, maybe a 2-race parlay between Zilisch and SVG on a road course. Like, you had to get creative, but again, you knew that they were going to make you money. It's just how to make the money better for you and the creative ways that you could come up with. But yeah, those two definitely 1, 2. I mean, Zilisch for sure runaway, because every time you bet on him, essentially you basically cashed. So you can, from a better standpoint, absolutely love him. SVG, a weaker case. I mean, yeah, he was an MVP on road courses, but outside of that, you were taking long shot top 10s, and if you hit, that was fun. If not, whatever. But I think if I were to lean heavy on somebody on this list, it would definitely be Connor Zilisch.
And hey, with Zilisch too, I put the logistics number there if you're watching on the graphics on that number 88. It wasn't just the road courses. It was when we were at Pocono, Seth, the Dale Jr. effect, him crew chief, and was on that Zilisch outright, and that helped me money there as well. Speaking of hitting outrights, Joe Gibbs Racing, Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin hit plenty of them for us this year. Bell, of course, winning 3 races in a row early in the year. Denny Hamlin, of course, his Darlington win in the spring helped cash my biggest day ever, which included a Hamlin outright. And the winningest driver is going to cash you the most outrights, obviously, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, both Christopher Bell, we were lucky enough to get on him at the one road course that he was able to pull off this year at COTA. That kind of started the Christopher Bell train. And I honestly, coming in this season, haven't had a lot of success betting Christopher Bell. It feels like when he's on, I'm off him. When he's off, I'm usually on him. But felt like a really safe top 10 bet when you could get him at decent odds. Top 5s were there in the mix as well. So I think he certainly belongs there. And yeah, you mentioned Denny Hamlin, dude. Like, a guy who showed up every single time. I felt like when you were backing him heavily, like, yeah, there were some moments where I think he could have got a couple more wins and kind of got hosed a little bit. Phoenix being, just kind of the most recent examples, but 14 top 5s, 18 top 10s on the year, and just beautiful times that he kind of showed up in places where we thought he was going to. Darlington in the spring, he got that win. Michigan, not a total surprise just because he's been so good at Phoenix. Dover, I think everyone and their mother knew Denny Hamlin was the favorite once again at Dover. So that was a great hit there. And then Gateway, again, was another hit that we had. So Denny Hamlin all the way through, like, he had his bumps in the road there in the championship once he qualified. Bad run at Martinsville because the engine blown up. Talladega didn't finish there well either. But overall, Denny Hamlin, such an outstanding driver, and really came through for the Wallace, I feel like, multiple times this year for me.
Yeah, and before we get off of Gibbs, Chase Briscoe is on this board as well. Was able to get his first JGR win at Pocono. Got a couple of more wins there in the playoffs. Really the good year that we were hoping Chase Briscoe would have in this 19, and it puts him on the board for the Bettors MVP as well, guys.
I predict that Marcus will be the first to comment on this video, and he will say that Christopher Bell is the deserver of the Bettors MVP because he had 3 wins on the season. And no, listen, yeah, all 3 of these guys, right? I mean, JGR is a force to be reckoned with. They definitely proved that they were one of the better teams on the year. And, for Christopher Bell, we had that fun run in the middle of the beginning of the year, I guess, where he was winning all those races. But after that, it was just sort of, you couldn't actually count on Christopher Bell. You could speculate that you can count on him, but you couldn't pen him in certain places. Whereas Denny Hamlin, you could definitely pen him in. And I think he's got a stronger case over Christopher Bell. And then Chase Briscoe, look, that was a fun story. Yeah, obviously it was something that we loved to track all season long. I know Cody loved him some Chase Briscoe, and we all had fun kind of watching the rise and watching him figure out how to drive a good car. But I mean, by and large, for me, it wasn't as exciting because I don't think I was on him most of the year. And when I was, he was off. When I wasn't, he was on. So,
yeah. Couple heavy hitters in the Truck Series we'll step down on. Ruggiero had some good value, especially late in the year on that Talladega outright. And Layne Riggs was the one guy that could really take it to Corey Heim. But because Heim's numbers were so juiced, it really gave you some value on Riggs. And Seth, I know you specifically had some good bets, and you were the one who nominated both of these Truck Series heavy hitters for the MVP this year.
Yeah, I mean, Layne Riggs, absolute stallion of a gentleman. We got to talk with him after the Pocono race over his trailer, and just a class act, and also a class act on the racetrack, man. Like 13 top 5s this season, 3 wins, and arguably could have had a couple more wins as well. And it just felt like down the stretch, once he got past that little bit of a slow start and Chandler Smith was really out there ripping hard, that it almost felt like every week you could back Layne Riggs in the top 5 market and come away with a profit. Sometimes you were paying minus 140, minus 130. Sometimes you could get closer to even money, but Layne Riggs definitely came through for us there. And Gio Ruggiero, you mentioned him as well. And yes, came through for us at 20-1 at Talladega, but also at the Roval, we had a 7-1 top 5 for him. The only time he didn't come through for us was there at Phoenix this past weekend, where ends up getting in a scrap there and ends up finishing towards the rear, but was definitely one of my most profitable truck bettors bet this season.
Definitely a couple of guys who will be title favorites when we start to look at the 2026 odds there. John Hunter Nemechek, a guy we both can talk about as well, Seth. Legacy Motor Club, pretty good runs there in the summer. The books really did not catch up on JHN, especially, FanDuel top 10 numbers. Really hit us some wicked good ones on that 42 car this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all go back. We had our colleague Eric Romoff at the track with us, newer to the NASCAR gambling streets. He was definitely invested there in the John Hunter Nemechek top 10 after practicing qualifying. We got 8-1 somehow. I don't know how we got that. That was a smash. That saved my weekend at Pocono. And 8 top 10s on the year for John Hunter Nemechek. And almost every single one of those, you were getting really, really good value. I'm talking 5-1, 8-1, 10-1 plus sometimes. Did have a couple top 5 runs and definitely cooled off down the late stretch of the season. That went away. But when he was in the NASCAR bracket challenge, he was soaring. He had some great runs at Gateway. Darlington, he finished 4th. Gateway, he finished 6th. And I really just got to, shout out to him. Pocono, P6. Mexico City, P6. Like some really hard tracks. John Hunter Nemechek showed that he's got something. Like he's not just a guy who I think is a career lifelong Xfinity and trucker. I think he belongs here in the Cup Series, and I think he proved it, especially with Legacy recently making a switch to Toyota.
Yeah, their notebook is pretty well set up, and they had a fairly good year. My last couple of nominations, there's more honorable mentions. Like if we relate it to baseball, these guys may not be full season MVP candidates. Yeah. We'll call them like the September Player of the Month. Austin Green, my road course king, came through with me on 5 top 10 bets, including my mega bet at Portland. My single biggest unit share placement of the season came through there for a top 10 and had the P2 finish at the Roval. This is a kid who I'm hoping gets some good opportunities next year, especially when making the lefts and rights. If we can get him in a car that's a little better than that third tier, the Peterson, Jordan Anderson racing collaboration there, if we can get Austin Green in that JRM number 9 for one of these road course races, I might put a whole year's worth of a card share on that. That'll be fun, or at least that top 5. And Brad Keselowski as well, down the stretch for me, top 10s.
Yeah.
I didn't bet them all, of course, but Keselowski, top 10s in 13 of the final 19 oval races.
Wow.
Were able to hit that a lot in the playoffs. It seemed like every other week I was hitting that Keselowski top 10 late in the stretch. Really nice one to hit late on. So those are definitely some honorable mentions on my part. But I really do think this award probably in that first tier, guys, we talked about, especially those two number 88s.
Yeah, I think so. Rod, who would be your vote for the Bettors MVP this season?
I mean, like I said, it's got to be Connor Zilisch. The rest of the guys obviously are great contributors to your card week after week after week. But if you just went from a pure who's making you money every single week standpoint, it was Connor Zilisch, because Layne Riggs, like you said, very juicy numbers, came through in a lot of circumstances, but the books did sort of catch up on him too. And it made it a little harder to bet Layne Riggs, because you just knew that Corey Heim was going to be it. And,
True.
Layne Riggs would come across and be fine, but it was Corey Heim. Whereas Connor Zilisch, you just knew you were going to win. Layne Riggs is a little question mark, but Connor Zilisch, you knew if you put money on him, 9 times out of 10, you were going to win. And that, to me, that's what an MVP is, right? Somebody you can count on every single week to get the job done and not have to worry about it at all. So yeah, it's definitely Connor Zilisch, and the rest of these guys are great, absolutely great, and have a great case to be made for each and one of them. But I don't think any of them come close to Connor Zilisch when it comes to the final tally.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments below. We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Want to hear from you on all these awards.